We're still alive and we're still doing the show. We promise. We we're still here. You saw the
Still
teaser
kicking.
trailer. By the way, good job on that. I thought that looked really cool.
Thanks.
But we're back with Moon Knight. Welcome to Disney Plus pals, which is just me and Jack anymore. We don't
Yeah.
have other friends. I
Oh.
was I was trying to come up with a joke for like the intro, and I was talking to my buddy about it, and he was like, "Oh, you should pretend that Jack doesn't exist and he's been in your head this whole time." I refuse to make that joke because I'm not convinced it's not true. I'm not convinced that Jack isn't this mythological being I've made up, and this is how I cope with depression or something.
He's on to us.
Somebody just comes in and shoots me in the head.
He's becoming self-aware. Fuck.
He's waking up. Run, run.
I was thinking this is sort of good for this show because it's a Brit and an American, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that means I'm the douche. Marky is a total douche. So before we go into the review, I think it might be a little beneficial to just talk about, what we knew about Moon Knight before the show came out. And my answer is a little complicated because one of the answers is I didn't know jack shit. That's the simple answer. The more complicated answer is I knew a little bit because I was always the Hawkeye guy. My friend Skylar was obsessed with Moon Knight. I, we were always the Hawkeye and the Moon Knight guy. Like we were the two people no one gave a shit about. But fucking, he's always really insisted upon me that this is a very original character with like a lot of story potential, and I feel like that's true. I've seen the first two episodes. I feel like that's an accurate assessment. Uh, I I know a little bit about Mark. I know a little bit about the extended characters. I don't know enough to make theories that focus on Moon Knight mythology. Like, you're not going to hear me be like, oh, maybe this Moon Knight character will show up. The only other characters besides the characters in the show I know about from Moon Knight is a guy named Bushman, who
Okay.
is his ultimate enemy. Yeah, his arch enemy is named Bushman for some reason. And essentially, they actually talked about Bushman in fucking interviews for this show, where they
Yeah.
said the reason they didn't want to include him is because he was too similar to Eric Killmonger. So
Mm.
I assume that means he was some sort of war soldier type dealio. I know Moon Knight ripped his face off, and that's why they don't like each other.
Okay.
Yeah, Moon Knight gets weird, according to Skylar.
Mm.
But yeah, I like the show so far, and while I can't come up with theories specifically pertaining to the character of Moon Knight, it's still Marvel, so I got a couple theories about random other shit in the show,
Oh yeah.
including a Kang theory. I'm pretty competent about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might have heard that. We'll get into that. With me, with Moon Knight, my only exposure to prior to this show was, of course, all the memes, the random bullshit go, Dracula, you fucking nerd, where's my money? Um, and then, funnily enough, those two panels as memes, and then the one other place I've ever seen Moon Knight is Minecraft on the Xbox 360 had a Marvel character skin pack,
I remember that shit.
and I know Moon Knight was in that.
What what I loved about that skin pack is there were some like common characters like on there. Like obviously you had the Avengers, you had Spider
Mm.
Man, but then fucking you'd get random ass dudes, which
You
I
had like Arnim
loved.
Zola was in there,
The leader was in there.
the leader.
God, I just remember sitting there and being like, there are going to be so many confused children who just bought this so they could play as Doctor Strange.
Mm. No, and
Uh,
then I saw I do kind of want to check out more Moon Knight stuff after this show because just see more comic book panels getting like shared online. I've
Mm.
seen this really good one that I wanted to bring up. That I think it was Screen Rant or something. Someone shared it somewhere on YouTube. Um, where it's Moon Knight sort of leaning over to talk to Spider-Man, where it's like, oh, just FYI, Moon Knight shows up for all these massive cosmic events and just has no clue what the fuck is happening. And it's just, wow, I picked a bad moment to to space out. What did I miss? Gamora's taking over the family business. Who's Gamora? Just punch whoever. Yeah, just punch whoever I punch in a second. Oh, or just the
God,
back and forth of them switching personalities mid conversation and stuff. It looks good fun, and I like the sort of psychological
mm.
aspect to a lot of it that the show's covering. And apparently, there's quite a fair bit of that. So
Oscar
no,
Isaacs is like surprisingly great in the role because
yeah, I was really worried that it was just going to be here's the big guy, here's this guy who's currently really big. Let's get him in the show. No, he's doing fantastic.
well, what I love about Oscar Isaacs is, first of all, he was like clear. Like I think Poe Dameron is probably the one character in the new Star Wars trilogy that consistently kind of had an arc.
Mm,
Like in the first movie, he got himself captured and he released Finn. But in the second movie, they talk about how he's too brash and how he's making all these decisions, and that's probably why he got captured in the first film because he risked shit too much.
mm,
Um, then in the final one, he's taking over and he's gonna be like the lead of the resistance. He's in charge now. So like obviously Oscar Isaacs was already a household name for me before he was even casted as this.
mm.
Um, but I think the interesting thing about Mark Spector, and I didn't realize this until right before the show was about to come out, is since you are like carrying all these personalities, and since you are carrying all these different thoughts of and emotions that each individual one of those personalities have, and you have to group that up with the loss of memory of certain characters, meaning you have to add surprise to all your performances. I think the fact that we got a good performance in general is just proof that this guy is like a great actor. I think the fact that his like performance is as engaging as it is shows that he is a magnificent actor. Like
Mm.
this would have been hard material for anybody, and he's just plowing through it.
Yeah, like I was thinking about before is like who would I have cast in this role without just off
Mm,
the top of my head, and I think I would have gone James McAvoy.
mm,
But then you have because I've split with the multiple personalities and everything, and he can do an American accent, he can do a British accent because that's just his voice. But you'd be worried with the like Charles Xavier like
mm.
comparisons and everything. But I think I mean Split's great, but I think I prefer this performance.
I'm gonna be real. I never thought Marvel would. I never thought Marvel would adapt Moon Knight, and I always said to my friend Skylar, if they do adapt Moon Knight, be prepared for them to change him, because I didn't think they were gonna do the multiple personalities. I didn't think they were gonna go as in depth as they have with his illness. I I legit thought that if Moon Knight showed up, it would be a cameo and he would be in full suit and it would never be explained who he was. Just he would fuck off, and then maybe fans could petition him to get his own show after that.
The portals open in Endgame and a bunch of characters we've never met before show up, including Moon Knight, sort of thing.
It honestly made me scratch my head a little bit about why would you introduce Moon Knight now? But I kind of think I see where they're going. I think I have an idea on why Moon Knight is so important to specifically this arc of the Marvel timeline. But we'll get
Okay.
to that later after we talk about the plots because we have two fucking episodes to get through today.
Yeah.
We were late. I'm sorry. We have lives.
Yeah, that was our bad.
We were still watching the show.
Episode one though, the goldfish problem.
Mm,
I remember when it started, and like right up until we'd bring attention to the goldfish. I thought, oh, it's because he's like memory problems, like like memory like a goldfish sort of thing.
So I'm gonna go on a tangent for a minute again, but right before the episode dropped, they released a poster that was the goldfish in like the coffee maker or the blender thing or
Oh yeah.
whatever, and it essentially said "See you tonight" and a winky face. And ever since then, they have released a poster right before the episode premieres to like tease at what's going to happen next. Like, obviously, the goldfish one was for episode one, but for episode two, it
Hmm.
was a poster of Steven's name tag, and
Okay.
and it was just on its own. And now that I've seen episode two, I know that like the name tag is a signifier that once he gives it up, that's foreshadowing later in the episode he's going to give up his identity and Mork's not going to give it back. So these fucking posters
Wow. Are
are
these just going up on like the Marvel Instagram or?
these are going up on the Marvel Instagram where I've seen them.
Hmm.
And one of the posters was a cupcake and it
Yeah.
said all shall be revealed in episode 4. And I remember being like, "What? What happens in episode 4? Why the fuck is there a cupcake?" So part of my inner monologue while we talk about these episodes is just going to be me going, "How's that cupcake going to be? How's that
Yeah.
cupcake going to be important later?"
Hmm. Am I not following the Marvel Studio? I'm not following the Marvel Studios Instagram account. I am sorry.
I started following around What If because they did teaser posters too.
And a lot of Multiverse of Madness stuff. Okay, I
Oh
will
yeah,
dig into all that later.
they will not shut up about Multiverse of Madness. Like fucking Benedict Cumberbatch did an interview the other day where he was like, there's cameos in the movie, and everyone's freaking out around that. We knew there were cameos.
Yeah. Let me.
Just say who they are.
And we're assuming that, at the time of recording, if you're watching this, you were up to date with all MCU releases.
Oh yeah, that's a rule
We
of
we, we knew Toby and Andrew were going to be in Spider-Man. It was still fucking amazing, though.
dude. That's a rule of my goddamn channel. If you're not up to date with Marvel, you're not safe. Don't follow me. Like if you're coming here and not expecting me to just randomly praise Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin performance, why are you here? Leave.
That is why you are here. What else is there?
It is interesting though to bring that up because we've seen how one actor in the MCU does do multiple
Hmm.
personalities. It's interesting to see the other side of the coin here. I don't know. I think there is a video out there for some YouTuber smarter than me to compare the two
Hmm.
characters and both their illnesses.
And one is sort of, the super soldier flight suit goblin serum, and the other one is, and I like that we'll get into it in episode two. Then it's like, did he have this before Khonshu? Is this a result of Khonshu?
I guess before we even dig into the plot, because I feel like we're about to, my favorite thing about this show, and I can confirm this by episode 2, my absolute favorite part is the editing. The editing is on point in
Hmm.
this show. Like, all the little frames of, like, if you keep looking in the background, you might see a reflection that moves weird. All all these little moments of the music just perfectly blending and then everything starts to go blurry as Mark takes over again. It's this show is a delight to watch
Hmm.
as as somebody who likes little tricks like that. Like episode 1, they literally did an action scene without any action. They cut away at every point the action happened. And I was still enthralled. I was like, fuck yes, keep beating up people off screen. Do
Hmm.
it. But let's dig in. Do you have any notes for episode 1, my friend, or anything you want to say right off the bat?
Oh, right off the bat, I think we'll start where the show did with the broken glass
Oh
ceremonial
my
drinking of
god,
the cup, and yeah.
how did I forget about this? I remember I watched that intro where, like, I don't even remember the character's name. Friggin' Ethan Hawke.
Arthur Harrow.
Yeah, I think people have been calling him Harrow.
Yeah.
Fucking, he, oh, God. I am somebody who prides myself on the ability to walk barefoot outside in rocks, and I have had the rare event of I've gotten to walk on hot coals.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that was a pretty gnarly and weird experience. My alarm on my phone just went off, but I muted it. That was a gnarly and weird experience, but it only lasted as long as I was on these rocks. The idea of every step puncturing your foot with glass,
And you can hear it in the Foley. Every step he takes,
and
you
he doesn't
hear
explain
you
it.
hear it.
He just so casually is like, okay, now I crush up the glass, pour it into my shoes. For me, that was like a statement from Marvel, like, hey, does this make you uncomfortable? Get out.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
leave. Just
No,
go.
no content warning. We're just gonna start off with this, and if you can't, no, here we go.
We're setting a bar here, and if you stick around, you can't say we didn't warn you.
Mm.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. And I do want to say in general, like episode 2, I'll probably praise it more. This guy's a great villain. Like,
Mm.
he's scary, he's interesting, he really fanatically believes what he's going for here. To the point where every day he's literally walking in his own bloody footprints, probably. What do you think his feet look like underneath?
Oh,
Like,
I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to
I
know.
don't want to know either, but I kind of want to see it.
Ah.
Well, here's the thing: they didn't show the blood, so I wonder if Amid's powers protect him.
Mm.
I just know when he kicks that soccer ball in episode 2,
Oh, I
I
forgot about
can
that.
I could hear the glass make a sound too, and that's the worst part.
Oh. No, I'm very curious about Harrow, and I do think we'll talk more about him in episode 2 when we sort of learn more about him there.
Mm,
Um,
we got to
but no,
focus
great
on
start,
Steven though.
great, brilliant cold open, and then it's just okay. In with Stephen waking up, he's late for work. Off we go into the life of Stephen Grant to start off.
I I remember the music also kind of being important to the show.
Yeah, especially in episode 1, they do a lot of. It's the same song every time he wakes up. Yeah.
Mm. They're literally playing the like "Wake me up before you
Before
go
you
go,"
go.
and it almost feels like that's Mark screaming, "Wake me up! Get me out of here!"
Yeah.
I I feel so bad for this fucking guy.
Mm.
Look, whenever Mark is Steven, it really makes me feel bad because he's just walking around his like house checking all these traps he set up for himself to make sure he's not going to go out and hurt somebody. He's feeding his fish. You know, he's clearly somebody who's like struggling to be happy, but he's trying to figure it out. And then day one, it's like, oh, well, I somehow magically got this date. Oh, at least I'm working this job I like, and I got this fish I'm taking care of. You know, it definitely seems like he's a look on the bright side kind of guy. And
Yeah.
then the show just beats the shit out of him. Like, oh my god! Like,
Yeah.
uh, how were these visuals and such for you? Like, do you think if you knew nothing about who Moon Knight was, you could figure it all out by watching this? Or I just want to know
As
your
someone
take.
who knew,
Feed me.
I didn't know about the split personalities or anything like that. I knew what Moon Knight looked like, and that Dracula owed him money. That was my that was my Moon Knight knowledge going into this. So yeah, I think I knew once we sort of started. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not actually sleepwalking; it'll be something else. And we get into the whole split personality thing.
Mm,
Figured that out, though. What I really liked with episode 1, and I think this is one of those shows that definitely benefits from watching week to week rather than binging,
mm,
is because where episode 1 leaves off is like, okay, how much of that all was real, how much of it wasn't. Because you have them when they watch the security footage in episode 2, the jackal's not there. It's like, oh, was he imagining that then? Because you can watch episode 1 and the jackal doesn't like knock anything over. It's all him bumbling and touching things.
It,
Oh, was that thing even real? And then we get, Khonshu and everything sort of flickering in and out. And then, no, it's an old lady coming down the hall. It's how much of this
mm,
is in his head? And then in episode 2 sort of goes in, no,
mm,
a lot of this is happening, but there are still a lot of psychological stuff that they're definitely going to be addressing.
yeah. I mean, in the comic books, there's once again, I'm getting this all secondhand from another person, so if I get something wrong, blame the super fan, not me. But
Hmm.
there is apparently another personality in the comics. Like, in the comics, the three were Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, and then a third one named Jake or Jack Lockley.
Okay.
So here's the thing, and I'm not 100% sure this is the case, but here's one of my harebrained theories. I think one of the reasons that Mark and Steven don't seem on the same page is because Jack Lockley, or whatever his name is also in the show and in the mix. That's a car.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I think what's been happening, like, my big evidence for this is he walks into the museum and he's got this date that he didn't know about, and
Hmm.
everybody kind of makes the like mental
Oh,
connection that Mark asked her out for him,
yeah.
but Mark's married. Like, I know
Yeah.
Mark sent her divorce
I didn't think of that until you said
papers.
it. Huh.
Yeah, isn't it a little weird that like he somehow magically has this date and Mark is taken, so it doesn't really seem like he would do that?
Hmm. You could bring up the precedent of, oh, well, Mark and whatever her name was, Lara, are,
Lila?
she had the divorce papers, and maybe to keep her safe, he's trying to like distance himself.
Yeah,
But no, I think that might be onto something. I think because this is, again, I think this is only a 6 episode season. It's quite short,
yeah,
and
yeah,
at time of recording, it's well, for me, it's now almost Tuesday, and then the episodes come out on Wednesday.
yeah.
So we're almost halfway through. So I think
Mm-hmm.
if they're gonna do that sort of reveal, I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, sort of right at the end. That's your statue of Kang at the end of Loki moment. You have a wait, like have Steven realize that there's another personality or something.
I think I would do it in episode 4 or 5. And the reason why I would do that is because I think that if they're going to do it this season and not wait till like a different project to introduce the third personality,
Hmm.
I think what they need to do is reveal that he's secretly been here the whole time and has been fucking up their plans. Like, I personally would make him like the evil personality. Like, maybe he's the reason that Mark doesn't have as much control anymore, but he's
Hmm.
having trouble taking control himself, so maybe that's why Steven is suddenly getting all these chances to get
Yeah, that perhaps he's this Lockley character isn't.
in.
I mean, it'd be very interesting to have them be an antagonistic force, but I think I like the idea that they're just sort of they're a third party. They're not necessarily on either side. But I like the idea that perhaps they're not able to take
Mm.
over as easily, and they just favor Steven. It's like, ah, well, if Steven's in control, Mark can't be doing his thing, or
Yeah,
something like that.
my date theory doesn't make a lot of sense if he's evil either.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless he's trying to sabotage Mark's relationship. I don't know.
She's just trying to make Steven eat steak, I think. That's the...
That was so heartbreaking.
Oh, I'm
As
so
some
glad that became a meme so quickly. Like, it's Sunday. No!
It broke my heart though, because this poor dude, he has one crappy day that has like a couple good things about it. Like, his boss still treats him like garbage. He's still
We've
working a
all we've
job he
all had a
doesn't
boss
like.
like that.
There's this kid who's like
Mm.
treating him weird. And that's another thing. What the fuck is going on with that kid? I
What
have
was
thought
it like
this.
for you being rejected? No, did it suck for you being rejected from the field of reeds?
Yeah, yeah. And then his response is, well, I wouldn't know. I'm not dead. Am I? And I was like, Why are you asking the little girl, are you dead?
Yeah.
I feel like Steven knows a little more than he's letting on. I think I know what she's referencing. I don't actually want to say though, because that's less of a theory and probably more of a spoiler, maybe.
Mm.
Well,
I mean,
actually,
if we don't know, we can.
they say it in the show. Actually, they mention that the reason, uh, what's the fucking name of the god?
Khonshu.
Khonshu. Sorry, Multiverse of Madness has me thinking about Chthon. Uh,
Yeah.
God, Marvel has too many deities that start with like K.
Blame this one on ancient Egypt. That's this is
Oh
on
yeah,
them.
Egypt came up with that one. It's your fault. But Khonshu mentions that the reason Mark is his avatar is because Mark was dying and then
Mm.
Khonshu saved him. So I think in the comics that's kind of what happened. Mark was dying, Khonshu saved him. Maybe that's what the reference to all that is. Like maybe she's saying, "Oh, did it feel weird when you were like rejected from this field?" Maybe
That you were
that's
sort of
that.
near death. You got a glimpse at the other side.
And then Khonshu grabbed you and said, "Not today, bitch," and now you look like the moon. I
Throat
just
slammed him back to the mortal plane.
I don't trust how much that kid knew. And it
Eh,
makes me wonder if she was working with Harrow. But that doesn't make sense because why would Harrow be watching him before he
no,
went and
I
took the
think that's
scarab?
just. I think you can just chalk that up to kids being creepy, kids being
Nah,
weird.
bruh. There's something up with that. There's gonna
Hmm.
be a reveal later that something's going on with Mark, and that was important. I don't trust Mark or Steven as a narrator. I think there's
No,
something we're not seeing.
I don't think you can trust Steven as a narrator. And then again, I've got that in between. As you were saying with I guess sort of jumping around a bit when we get to Stephen waking up with a broken jaw in the whole European village, and then ultimately the chase scene. Wake me up before you go. You have, I think that's what episode 4 is going to. I was talking about this at work, where it's like, so we are like almost guaranteed. I feel to see Mark's version of those events.
Mm-hmm.
Because I initially thought, nah, it's cool to sort of keep the mystery of the fight scene where Stephen just keeps waking up during it in these different moments. But
I
I do think we need to see Mark sort of, escaping that compound and jumping out the window.
I am not
'Cause
convinced
he steals the scarab from them. They already had the scarab.
that's not what the next episode is going to be.
I think that's what episode 4 is because of that poster with the cupcake.
Oh,
Because the fights in
maybe
the cupcake van.
you have a point actually.
That's my guess for episode 4 is that we're gonna
Oh,
it
that's
might just be a wee like 5 minute sequence or something of just Mark's
actually,
snippets of that. But I think we're gonna get that.
dude. Actually, I think. Hold on, you just created a theory for me. I think that's correct. I think you solved the cupcake mystery, but
Hmm.
also I think what it
Solver of cupcakes.
is episode 5 or 4. One of the next episodes, maybe episode 4, is going to be the backstory of like Mark meeting Khonshu, Mark being
Hmm.
chosen as the Avatar, and then we're gonna see all of these from Mark's perspective, where Mark's like maybe we'll see him before Khonshu, maybe we'll see him at the very beginning of Khonshu,
Hmm.
and then we'll see him start to investigate Harrow. We'll see who did ask out that girl on the date. And then we will just see all of these little moments where Mark was present. We'll see his side, ending in the same shot that ended in episode 2 where they're in Egypt again, and maybe they've like caught up and talked about it. If this
That could
happens
be
in
cool.
episode 3. I
Huh. I like that idea. Although,
well,
again, if having the Lockley personality sort of in the background of our minds, I think
I
it'd be
think it's
cool that
joked.
we see Mark's version of events, and there are still one or two unaccounted for beats. I think that'd be
Oh yeah.
a good sort of build to that reveal.
It would be a good mystery if it was like Mark doesn't know what the date thing is about either.
Mm.
I
If the two of them were like sitting down, and they talk about it or something. It's like, oh yeah, that was a shame. And Mark has no clue what he's talking about. It's like, no, don't you remember? There was.
yeah, no, I
I'm
want to
sorry,
learn this
Oscar
shit.
Isaac does a better English accent than I do, which is a shame. But
I love his voice. Some people have been shit talking his voice. I think it's really good.
I completely forgot until right at the end of episode one when you hear his Mark Spector. I completely forgot that he was doing an accent.
Yeah, his Mark Spector is just his normal voice, which of
Mm,
course is Poe Dameron.
yeah,
So
but
it
no, like
was
so I'd forgotten that he wasn't British
yeah.
until that moment.
It's like whenever people are like, Doctor Strange's accent is so bad, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah,
he
it's
sounds
fine.
great. Ay, ay, ay.
Mm.
Lower your standards, planet. Jesus.
Uh, so just last few things on my first page of notes. I've got sort of 2 pages per episode just for this run through.
Fair.
Being and it's sort of more sort of theory stuff again. Do you think there's any significance to the poster of the Ennead only having 7 rather than 9?
I feel like there are two paths that takes.
Hmm.
Number one, I think that I'm honestly very confused. This show has done a good job of like fooling me because on one hand, that does seem important that he was able to identify that that's a mistake. However, on the other hand, I'm still curious about that because the museum made that mistake. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, and I almost don't want to pitch this theory because it sounds like a conspiracy. I think there are some events that are not real at all and completely in Steven's head. Because I
Hmm.
can't think of a situation where this group of like Egyptian gods, some would be left out by the museum. And I think it's weird that like somebody who isn't even paid by the museum to be like a worker or a tour guide or anything, but a gift shop owner, he was able to identify that and no one else is.
Hmm.
I'm not understanding that much. There's a couple things in the show where that just piques my ears a little. Like that doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one of those things where it's like, okay, if that's all accounted for by the end of the season will have been fantastic. If it's mostly accounted for, it will have been great.
Yeah,
But I think where that's potentially going, and I mean, I loved my ancient Egypt when we were learning about that in like primary school and everything. Like elementary. I don't know what the American equivalents are.
we have
Um,
elementary school.
in your younger school days when we are learning about ancient Egypt and stuff, and all the different gods and the pantheon and everything. I don't remember who was a power trip the Ennead or anything. I don't even remember that word, but I am pretty sure that Ammit was sort of a separate thing from most of
Mm,
the bipedal humanoid Egyptian gods.
mm,
Ammit was always sort of separate from that. So I'm curious what I think the situation is with that poster is that Stephen Mark, with this greater knowledge from Khonshu,
mm.
knows that, in reality, there was 9 of them, but, history only shows that there were 7 or something. And Ammit was sort of kicked out of that club. Perhaps Khonshu was kicked out of that club.
Mm.
I think that's perhaps where we're going with this. And it's like, okay, what happened? Why are they excluded?
It also makes me wonder if this is like the Marvel history, like they're changing
Yeah.
things a little.
Mm,
Then again, Moon Knight was very easy to identify that, so clearly there's something going on with that poster. I don't know. I
mm.
also think like the poster is set up a little bit because the name, the Inuad or whatever, that's a team in Marvel. Like
Oh, okay.
those are Marvel characters, I believe.
Hmm. I assume just the avatars of the different gods
Yeah,
sort of team.
that's kind of what I've been. Well, in the comics, I don't know if it's as much like an Avatar situation, like everybody has one. I've always like again, I don't know Moon Knight that well, so it's completely possible I'm wrong.
Hmm.
But I thought it was a situation of Khonshu himself has taken on a knight. I didn't think it was like a thing that every god did. So
Hmm.
that might have been a change to the show, but I think it's a good change because it gives Harrow all this power.
Yeah.
And, like, I wonder if these are two avatars, where are the rest? And I wonder if we'll see that later. Like, does every Egyptian god have an avatar in the MCU? Maybe we'll get to see that.
Hmm.
And if that is true, that sounds pretty cool, honestly. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
My,
No.
my cat is sleeping beside me and just keeps rolling onto my hand like, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to sleep. Shut the fuck
Very,
up.
very Egyptian there, you know.
Yeah, he woke up, so I'm gonna show him to the camera. Hey, everybody. This is my god I've done a bargain with. I'm his avatar. And ironically, he's named Mortis, which is Latin for
Oh,
death, so.
very nice.
I could be
Uh,
a death god, you don't know.
yeah, Anubis. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no, wait, Osiris.
Anilbus?
Yeah.
Oh, Anilbus, that's my name now.
My only other note from sort of the first half of this episode is that Steven is leaving voicemails for his mum.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I did
Are those just
notice
going to an inbox? Does he think he has a bad relationship with his mum and that's why she doesn't look at them? Has he just not noticed that she doesn't look at them?
that
Curious what's going on there, or
there
if
are,
that's perhaps
there are
my
two
my guess is that it's
characters.
Mark's way of sort of
Mm-hmm.
keeping tabs on him when Mark like wakes up. So, okay, let's find out everything Steven's done. Let's listen to the voicemails. Let's read his diary.
There are two characters that Skylar told me to keep my eyes open for. One of them
Hmm.
I found. His name is Crowley or Crawley, and he's like an
Yeah.
informant of Mark's. And apparently he is the statue guy.
Yes.
So I do think if we get our flashback episode, you and me are predicting, we're gonna see Mark walk up to the statue guy, and then the statue guy is just gonna bitch about how bitchy Steven has been. Uh, but I wonder if he's been calling the other guy, which you'll notice in the phone.
Yes. There's another
Ducomp
name.
was one of the names.
Hmm.
So that guy has his own name, but my friend Skylar just calls him Frenchie. And apparently he is. Well, his comic book name is Frenchie too. My friend didn't just come up with that.
Okay.
uh, Frenchie is like another informant for Mark, but kind of like the Sully to Mark's Nathan Drake,
Hmm.
if you will. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm wondering if maybe he's been calling him this whole time.
Hmm.
I don't I don't know who the mother would be, and it feels weird that Mark hasn't said anything about Steven's mom. Like,
Yeah, we get a moment in episode 2 where Lara's like, when Steven's talking about
I think
postcards
her name
from
is
his
Lila.
mum. Sorry?
Is her name Lila?
Mm, yes, I'm saying that wrong. Yep. Layla. Yeah.
You're thinking of
Lila.
Laura Croft.
I probably, yeah. But no, she says something about, oh, you're talking with your mum again. That's good, or something like that. Or oh, you made up with your mum. Something to that effect. So I'm like, okay, hmm.
It is definitely one of those things where it's like, what's going on there? Again, it's one of those little things where, like, there's something suspect about this. You're just not sure what yet. I want to bring up something I don't think anybody else has brought up. In episode 1, where he is in, like, he's near that castle and he's, like, running towards the village. Where the fuck is that? Do we know that location? Like,
Mm,
because
don't
that
believe so. Not explicitly.
well, that castle looked a lot like Doctor Doom's castle. And I remember when this was coming out, everybody thought the muffins or cupcakes said Von Doom on them.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, did this motherfucker charter a plane and he's in Latveria? Because that really looks like Doctor Doom's castle. And I get that, like, Harrow is held up there, but what if, just roll with me for a little bit, what if Doctor Doom isn't a thing yet, and this guy takes over this town, takes over these people, uh, lives in this castle. Moon Knight beats him, takes out his cult. They all retreat. They all go back home. Now there's just this big empty area where if there were some sort of doctor who needed a place to set up, maybe he could set up in that castle there. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I've seen 12 minutes, 31 seconds into the episode, you get a shot of Stephen running over the hill and the castle in the background. I could very easily seeing that be Doom's castle, yeah.
It it looks like if you shot it at night and there was a thunderstorm, it would be like Evil Layer 101, you know?
Oh yeah, like I can absolutely picture from like one of the animated series, the Fantastic Four flying stealthily towards this castle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't
Which could
know.
equally generic European castle, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It could also be just like some other Marvel thing. I know there's plenty of castles in the world of Marvel.
mm,
I just wanted to voice it because if at one point there's like a mention where it was like when we went on our mission to Latveria, I want to be like called it, I said it.
mm.
How do you
Yeah,
how do you feel about there basically being no action in the first episode and them making the conscious choice to edit it out? Because I've actually heard some
fantastic.
people. Yeah, I like it. I've heard a couple people complaining. Like,
It's like there's still a car chase, just the sort of actual fighting beats sort of get interrupted, you know?
I think it's more interesting that the last thing we see of him fighting this guy is him smushing a cupcake against his head, and then the next thing we see is the cupcake smear still there, but blood right next to it.
Yeah.
I kind of like that better than him
Mm,
just taking a gun and capping the dude. Like, I get to imagine now.
yeah. That's again why I was initially sort of hesitant. I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to see Mark's side of that fight. But equally, so much happened there, and we need the lead up to it and everything before Stephen wakes up. That's we've got to, and I don't mind.
That had to be really confusing for Mark too, because one minute he beat up people in an alleyway, the next he's in a goddamn cupcake van going down the street.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the jokes he'd make. But yeah,
Uh, Before he even gets in the van, and then so here's a wee bit more on Harrow before we dive into
yeah,
him
we have to
slightly
talk
further on.
about why he's a bad guy.
Yeah, the weighing of people and the sort of scales, the tattoo moving and doing the sort of wee ritual.
You know, it's kind of good that we have seen episode 2 before going in because I think we would have been like, what do those scales judge? But now
Mm.
we kind of know, like it judges whether or not you'll be a good person or a bad person. But the standards of judging are a bit wonky.
Yeah, let me see. So after he judges the first guy and he sees the scales, it's this is the face of a good man, and then
Big
everyone sort of applauds and
smile,
cheers.
hugs him,
Yeah.
definitely believes it himself.
And then with the next woman, it's sort of, oh, but I've lived a good life. Ah, yes, well, it's not necessarily what you have done. It's what you might do, and Amit, or you're going to do, and Amit sees all, and da da da. And then, like, mummifies, drains the moisture or life energy, or.
We also see in episode 2 he can do that without judging people.
Which is some. I'm a little worried by that moment at the end of episode two. Because I really want this guy to be a fanatic who properly believes everything he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
but then that he sort of does that draining thing to that guy without actually judging him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay. Is he like just telling his followers this and lying to them and using this as an excuse to kill people for something else? Or it could be good. It could they can take it and do something interesting, but I really liked the sort of fanatic
Oh, yeah.
setup they had.
Well, here's the thing. I think one way or another, he's definitely like he's drank the Kool Aid. He believes this shit
Hmm.
because fucking You don't do that shit with the glass if you're like just one toe in the pool.
Yeah, yeah, true.
So I think he believes Ahmed with everything he has. I just wonder if maybe that was like, I don't know, that might have been a writing mistake where it's like, we got to show how bad the villain is. He's gonna kill this guy.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like episode 3 and 4. I feel like we need to learn a little bit more about Harrow, but everything I've seen, I've adored. The guy creeps me out. He
Hmm.
scares me. Just the way he walks scares me
Yeah.
because you can hear the editors included the fucking cracking of the glass. So every time this guy moves, I feel uncomfortable. It's really a genius move on them because I'm gonna remember this fucker for a while, and
Yeah.
just the uncomfortableness every time he's on screen.
And that's what we're saying about him being I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, so it might be calling it a
Yeah,
bit early. But in terms of him being a great villain, like he's smart.
I can
Like
already tell you
the
I like
moment
him better
after
than
he kills that woman
Malekith.
and everything, and he's like, okay, the mercenary might be hiding among us. So he stands up, says something in Egyptian, and everyone immediately bows. So he's just, oh bollocks,
I
great. It's those smart moves. Then when he's at the when he meets him at the museum, and you have the other members and people sort of surrounding him, and he has under the people pretending to be cops and everything. It's a smart, competent villain.
And he does try kindness with Stephen first,
Hmm.
Like, obviously, when he had just stolen something, he was like, okay, kill him. But then
Hmm.
afterwards, when he's trying to learn the situation and stuff, he's like, what's going on here? And he does like go, hey, look, have some food, have some soup.
Yeah,
Explains his plight. I like this villain, and
yeah,
I can already tell you I like him better than Malekith,
easy.
Ironmonger, uh,
Mm.
fucking Whiplash. That was boring. Any of the Iron Man villains, actually, all of them.
Justin Hammer. I like Justin Hammer.
I mean, I'm okay with Justin Hammer, but he didn't do
No.
like you're not gonna put Justin Hammer in the same place you're gonna put Killmonger. uh,
Uh,
but yeah, he wakes up. He thinks it's all a dream. He's just hanging out at his place. He missed
mm.
his date.
No,
Fuck.
he notices the goldfish problem.
Yeah, I have questions about that fish.
Yeah.
My two questions are number one, if I assume the reason the fish died was because he didn't feed it for 2 days, like he left and he didn't
Mm.
feed the fish. Uh, but if that isn't how the fish died, like if it wasn't because he wasn't there to feed it, how did Mark kill the fish? I was always wondering that.
I mean, my sort of two ideas. I think the more likely is just they were away, so it wasn't fed
Mm.
for like 2 days. Was I think perhaps if it had been the other way around and the fish suddenly had one fin or something, the idea that Mark and Steven both sort of independently of one another sort of wake up whenever they wake up and then they go and feed the fish, so it's just been overfed.
Mm.
I liked that idea, but no, I think it's more likely, yeah, he goes away and is like, okay, yeah, cool. As far as Steven's aware, this was all a dream. Let's. Oh no, Gus is dead. Let's go. I need to buy him a new fish,
Mm.
which is. I
I,
know a lot of parents sort of do that for their kids when the fish dies. Like, go buy a new one quick.
I do also wonder if, like, to go with our Jake Lockley theory, fucking,
Hmm?
I don't know if Mark would have cared. Maybe he would have been okay with Steven just waking up and seeing a dead fish. I don't know.
I don't know. I think Mark does legitimately care about Steven, especially sort of during episode 2 when they get talking more. Because you have when Steven finds um, the storage container, the storage unit, and Mark's like, I know this is all a lot to take in, and trying to like keep him calm and everything. And then at the end of the episode, after the fight with the jackal, and Steven's sort of like, is this what it's been like for you? And everything. And Mark's like, no, just focus on breathing. You need to stay calm. Let me help. He's trying to like help him through it.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions I have because like
Mm,
for one, because we're still on this day. Uh, the first time Mark like does properly speak to Steven is when he finds the phone for Lila. And
yes.
I think I don't know. I truly wonder how much control of the situation Mark has. Because from everything we've seen, Mark has kind of been the guy where it's like, I know what's up. I know why people are chasing us. I can help you. But I think now that it seems like episode 3 is going to be from Mark's perspective, and maybe a few episodes will be from Mark's perspective,
Mm,
I'm super fucking curious about what exactly Mark does know. Because does Mark even know that Steven's been calling someone?
mm,
Like, it's one of those things where it feels like Mark mentioned he struggles to even be a fly on the wall, so there are definitely times where he just disappears and he's not there.
yeah.
So that makes me
You're not
wonder.
directly observing every single moment.
That makes me wonder if Jake Lockley's happening. It makes me wonder if maybe Khonshu can take control every now and then.
Mm,
I don't know, man. I think we need to be nervous, especially because like every time Mark fails to take over the body, Khonshu shows up and tries to like scare the shit out of Steven. Which something sus about that old woman too. Something sus about everything. I I don't know, man. I just don't trust any of it.
is that just the British accents, Neil?
I don't trust the giant crow man either, and he doesn't have any
Mm,
accent.
oh. I've not got really any other notes on this episode. Harrow at the museum. The scales don't settle for
Mm.
Stephen. I'm curious if that be the same for Mark, if it's because there's sort of the multiple personalities that it can't decide, or if that's just a Stephen is still in flux sort of thing, whereas if it would be a different result for Mark, if that's
I have a
because of
theory.
Khonshu perhaps as well.
I have two theories.
Hmm.
I thought it was gonna turn into a moon. Like I thought it was gonna say, you can't deduce this guy because his soul is like to another.
Yeah.
Um, it also feels weird
Someone
that
else got here first.
well, I also don't think Amit would judge another god's avatar, maybe just out of fear of pissing off that god.
Hmm.
Although they're already pissed at each other, so I don't know if that tracks. But
Yeah.
what I remember, what stuck with me, is Harrow afterwards says there's chaos in you.
Hmm.
And I remember back in WandaVision where uh, fucking Harkness was like, this is chaos magic, Wanda. And I'm trying to put this all together. I feel like there's a piece of the puzzle here I'm missing. But here is where we get the first name drop of Amid's previous avatar.
Yeah, the first mention.
So here's the thing: there is a version of Kang
Yeah.
called Ramatut. I think it's Ramatut.
Yes.
I'm just
I remember
saying,
we talked about the Spectre and Loki, yeah.
it's all too perfect.
Hmm.
Moon Knight just so happens to come out, and it's full of Egyptian gods right when Doctor Strange is about to come out, and then there's this character who is established with Kang and could have connections to Egyptian mythology. Do you think I'm
Hmm.
stupid, Kevin Feige? Do you think I can't see what you're trying to do here?
Hmm.
And
And you
maybe I
have,
am.
'cause, I mean, Kang, it's the purple color scheme and everything.
Mm.
And in episode 2, when Harrow is like using the staff, which has a piece of Amit's power in it, given to Amit's first avatar, which if that's Kang, they use it and it sort of the floor opens up for the jackal to come out and it's all this sort of purple energy.
The
Don't know.
the one thing we know about the MCU, according to Loki, the one Kang thing we know about the MCU is that there are tons of different Kangs, and they are all on their way to fuck with us. Like, Loki literally said, there are several different versions of this one same dangerous person. So, I think it makes sense for one of them to be Ramatat, and that's what we're setting up here. And I think it also makes sense for there to maybe be one in Doctor Strange?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's got to be one in Doctor Strange,
I'm just saying,
which has me worried because there's a lot to be in Doctor Strange.
you always hear about the Eye of Agamotto being this time travel thing. Where the fuck is Agamotto? Who's he? Does he
Mm.
look like the guy who plays Kang?
Who was in What If in the Sorcerer Supreme episode?
That was not Agamotto. That was,
No.
he had a name though.
Yeah, it was something else. I'm gonna check that.
It wasn't his real name either. He confirmed it was like a false name. It was very cryptic. Vishanti, maybe? I don't know.
Mm.
Doctor Strange stuff gets weird. Because half the spells are names of other people.
Yeah, because it's invoking the power of.
Yeah. Mortis, why do you keep hitting me with your tail? Do you
Mm.
not like that we're talking about gods in your presence?
Doesn't like that we're talking about other gods in his presence.
Yep, he's my little deaf god. Isn't he cute?
It was Obeneth, Obeng. That's it.
Oh, bang. And he did. I remember in that episode he confirmed it was a fake name, I think.
Yeah.
I I truly have no idea. I'll be real.
Mm.
But I will say I am now a Kang conspiracist. Every time it isn't a scroll, it's probably Kang. Because in the comics, Kang takes many fucking forms. He's everywhere. I think we're about to get fucked by that. Like, I think Loki promised us all these different villains who are the same guy. So,
Yeah.
anytime there is a chance for there to be a villain, you have to ask the question, is this Kang set up? And with the Egyptian connection that one of Kang's confirmed variants has, we have to assume this is him until proven not him, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my big theory.
Because like that might not even be a thing in this show. We might get down the line and we'll see different Kang variants, and one of them will be walking with this staff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
It could be as subtle as that.
I genuinely believe that the reason Moon Knight is coming out now is this is set up for a different Kang. Which, by the way, is genius on Marvel's part because this is going to be one of the dopest villains we've ever faced if multiple shows have to set up multiple different versions that we will
Yeah.
eventually have to deal with.
I do really like, because that was a big thing after Thanos. It's like, oh, what do we do next? And it was Galactus was being floated, and I'm like, yeah, I suppose, but Galactus would sort of have to be I don't think you could do Galactus as a long-term villain. That would just need to be
I
the baddie in the next Avengers sort of thing.
I am so
I'm
proud of
glad we've gone
myself.
this direction. I again knew basically nothing about Kang prior to the MCU introducing him.
I
And
don't
it is fantastic so far.
I might have mentioned it when we were reviewing Loki, but Mel would know about this, and so would
Mm.
Cher. Literally, when Infinity War was coming out, the question was, who should they do next? And each time, without hesitation, I'd be like, I hope they do Kang the Conqueror. I hope they do Kang. Because literally, like, my idea was, like, they're doing time travel in this movie. Maybe that pisses off Kang because he's the time travel guy.
Mm.
But they've kind of turned him into the multiverse guy, which I think I like better.
Well, that's because it's alternate timelines,
Yeah.
multiverse, it's branch timelines, it's all that. So it still works.
Yeah,
And then
it's all the
again,
same
is
thing.
was it Chronopolis, his city that's in Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's most
Yes.
likely going to be in Quantum Mania?
And Kang himself is a villain in Quantum Mania. Jesus, I am just so fucking afraid of
I,
Kang.
I'm going to stop us. We are getting very sidetracked now.
Well, to be fair, how could we not?
Uh,
We
uh.
went down the rabbit hole.
Let's throw a grappling hook and get back up out of this.
Yeah, we got to wrap up our review for episode
End of
one.
episode one. End of episode one. With the Jackal chase and then the ultimate reveal of Mark and Moon Knight.
How do you feel about the suit?
The weakest part of this show for me is the CGI. I I I, I don't think it's been a practical suit at any point. The
It
Moon Knight
has
outfit.
it in episode two. Right after he puts it on, there are a couple shots where it's a real suit.
I know the Mr. Knight one is practical for most of it, except for when he's getting
Mm.
flung around by an invisible dog monster. But I don't buy that it's physically there. Which I mean, the cape is always flowing through whatever magic, and it's
Mm.
this weird mummy hooded outfit and everything. It's a really cool design. I just need one good shot of it being physical.
Yeah, in there is a shot after after Steven gives Mark control, because I'm looking for these two, because like the CG on that fucking jackal in the first episode, oof. No one seems to notice it but me, but it did not look good.
Yeah, good thing it wasn't in focus at any point.
Uh,
They hit that well enough. It wasn't a big thing.
episode 2, the jackal looked a little better. Like at least it
Hmm.
looked like it was there. In episode
Yeah,
3, I couldn't even tell what shape its face was, because it was like anytime they did show it, it was like blurry CG, and it wasn't good.
yeah.
Uh, but just judging on the suit in promo images and that one shot after the bus when he does stand still, I think it looks fucking awesome. And maybe
Hmm.
that's just because I like mummies, but
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
it looks sweet. I love that the cape is actually shaped like a moon.
Yeah.
I love all the little symbols on it and how it actually looks like armor. I,
Mm.
I think it took like a design that was like, I don't want to say generic, because the word I would actually use is like classic. It's very classic superhero to have like all one color, symbol in the chest, some sort of mask or hood. Like
Mm.
that's very common with superheroes. Where they kind of gave it more pizzazz and kind of gave it more going on. Because now instead of being like completely white spandex, it's no, there's all these different articles of cloth over a chest piece.
Mm.
It looks damn cool to me. And
Yeah.
I thought the shot where Mark is talking to Steven and he's like walking in the mirror, and you can see, since there are different mirrors, you can still see him. I
Yeah.
thought that was dope.
It's a great setting for that moment with him just mirrors on three sides. Yeah.
At some point in the MCU, we gotta put this fucker in like a carnival style hall of mirrors, right? That's gotta be in
Yeah.
the future.
That's got to happen. Yeah.
Uh, my opinion of episode one was literally like,
Mm.
holy shit, that was dope. And I apologize if our reviewing is a little different for this show, guys. That's for two reasons. Number one, we got to do 2 episodes today. But number two, the editing is so different from anything with Marvel in it that the story kind of jumps and it kind of throws you in different places. I honestly find it a little hard to follow at points, but that's the point. So you
Mm.
have to really.
Like it's intentional, so you can't say that's a flaw.
Yeah, like I could bitch about the pacing, but the pacing is intentionally supposed to be this way, so that's not really a criticism you can level against it. Once again, until you see the full final product, you're not sure if some of your critiques are going to be answered or not. But if I'm judging episode one just on how it is, it was fucking good, and I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I'm probably going to give it an 8.5. It
Yeah.
was it was a fair start. Uh, I think there was a time when I probably would have given it a 9, but I
Mm.
thought about it. I think 8.5 is fine, because spoiler alert, episode 2 is better. Uh, but it's really good. It's really interesting. They immediately sell you on the mystery of this character. I just hope that can pay off a little bit, because I feel like one of the problems with Hawkeye is immediately I was like, ooh, there is a bit of a murder mystery focus here. And then they shift focus onto this other thing. And then they shift focus onto this other thing.
Yeah.
And it feels like if these two episodes are anything to go by, if they just focus on what the fuck is happening with Mark, what the fuck is happening with Khonshu, and what the fuck is going on with Harrow, I think this show will be golden. My big fear is, with all of these things going on, it's going to be very easy to make this story complicated.
Yeah.
And
Like unnecessarily so.
like, how many of the Egyptian gods do I have to know the name of to understand this show? You know? Like, we're going to Egypt. I would say, like, I would just say be careful, Moon Knight, because if nobody understands what's going on, we're in trouble. Because we need satisfactory answers to these mysteries you've set up. You're faced
I've
with
just
them.
had an amazing idea of some fan art I need to do. So I think we are going to see more of the Egyptian gods in this season because there's we were talking about this at work from the original trailer. Oh, by the end of episode one, it's like, oh, the only shots we could think of that hadn't shown up were Mark with the suit coming around him and the
Mm.
jump over the building into the Disney Plus logo.
Yeah.
And then we realized after episode two, it was like, okay, and then there's also this one shot of sort of Mark in a temple, and there's a bunch of seats around the place, and it's like, okay, so those are probably like thrones for all the different gods,
Mm.
is my reading of that one brief blip in a trailer. But my thought there was just, it's like with Sailor Moon. You start off introducing Sailor Moon, and then a couple of the Sailor Scouts before you get into all of them and the lore and the history and everything. It's like just introduce the main characters we need to know, and you can start adding in some of the additional ones. You can start giving us more of the gods' avatars if those are going to be characters and stuff in season two or towards the finales or down the line. Don't bother with any of that now. You don't need it.
This is
But
Moon Knight.
I need to draw fucking
Yeah,
Mark
Sailor Knight,
Spector,
Moon Knight.
Sailor Moon.
Fucking Sailor Knight. That'd be cool.
Mm,
Do
mm.
do do Sailor Moon in Moon Knight's costume. That'd be cool too. But
Yeah, just swap outfits.
as you were saying that, I just had this fear in my head that there's going to be a character introduced called Jupiter Knight. Like I think that would be enough where I laugh my ass off. And if in case people want me to make the Uranus joke, I'm not going to. I'm civilized. Drink my tea, I guess. All right, episode 2.
But yeah, well, I think also just on episode one, I I think I'm in the same. I think had we done this review immediately after episode one, I probably would have given it a 9.
Yeah.
Then having had a bit of time to sort of chew on it and let it settle, I do think it is one of the strongest opening episodes
Oh
for
yeah.
any of these shows. Like better than Falcon Winter Soldier episode one, better than What If episode one.
Doesn't even touch Loki. But
WandaVision episode one, I almost think doesn't count. The first two episodes of WandaVision, I don't think really
yeah,
can be compared.
even I had to admit the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye aren't that great, especially
Yeah,
when you compare it to the rest of the show.
I think this is on par with episode one of Loki, and I don't remember what score I gave that, but I'm also going to give this an 8.5.
I think I gave episode 1 of Loki a 10 out of 10. And if I didn't give episode 1 of Loki a 10 out of 10, I do now. My cat is
I
just so
might round that to.
confused.
I'm gonna check what I gave Loki actually as we move on to talk about the next episode.
I think episode 1 of Loki's better. I still go back and watch that scene of Loki watching himself die, like
Mm.
on the projection. God, I need to rewatch Loki because I remember that being legitimately like huge.
Mm.
I rewatched it once to show a friend, and it was just as good as I remembered. So I wonder if it still would be. I'm with you though. I agree. I think this is definitely a Loki. If this keeps going the way it is, like if every episode is as good as these first two, this show could be just as good as Loki. And Loki is currently my number one thing in the MCU. I think it's the best thing in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really good, man. I had problems with episode 3, but it was really good.
um,
Are you trying to find your old notes?
yeah, I've got my old notebook here. Flicking back.
I will try to think of
Oh.
things to say while you flip.
Loki, episode 1.
Neil's hair looks stupid. Yes, I know, chat. I have multiple
Episode
different
1,
dyes.
we gave 8s all round, except for me, who gave it an 8.5.
Oh yeah, no, I'm upping that. 10 out of 10 for the first episode.
Well, like, I said I'd rank it on par, and I thought I was marking it down, but nope, I'm ranking it on par, 8.5.
For me, if I were to review Loki right now, 10 out of 10, 9, 6, 10, 10, 10. I remember the last 3 all being 10s.
I think so.
Dude, the last fucking...
Oh.
Loki's good! What are we to say? I think
Yeah.
episode 3 isn't as good, but it's still okay.
Yeah.
Fucking...
Hopefully this episode 3 will be a wee bit better than that one. But in the meantime, episode 2...
Which is better than episode
Summon
1.
the suit. My handwriting is hard to read sometimes. I thought it said sumo the suit.
So, that friend Skylar I referenced earlier, something else we have talked about, he hates Mr. Knight. Like,
Okay.
despises the costume for Mr. Knight.
In the show, in the comics,
In the
in
comics,
general.
the idea. He does not
Okay.
like the costume for Mr. Knight. He thinks it doesn't try. He thinks Mr. Knight in general means less Moon Knight, so it pisses him off. But he said he got some very sick satisfaction out of them making fun of it in the show, and even referring to him as like a crazy Colonel Sanders. And I'm that asshole who was like, I think I really like the Mr. Knight suit. It looks really cool. I love the little
I really like it. I
textures.
don't know, again, know nothing about the comics. I really like it in this show.
I like the split in the mask, which is something that was not in the comics. I just wanted to talk about the Mr. Knight suit a little, just because we just talked about the Moon Knight one. Might as well. Might as fucking well. I think the eyes glowing is a little weird for me, but I get it. It's an aesthetic of the character. I like it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, because that was like the posters of him don't have the eyes glowing.
Yeah, and I thought that looked cooler.
It's a bit more intimidating. But again, when we rewatched episode 2 earlier, they've done the Deadpool thing. They animate the eyes on Mr. Knight a little bit, so he can be a bit more expressive, which I do like.
I just love that he literally says "float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," and then throws off his jacket and puts up his dukes and starts trying to do.
My name is
fisticuffs.
Steven with a V.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mr. Knight is a particularly popular in the comics or not. I know some people were a bit disappointed that they changed him because apparently he's a bit more serious. But I do like the idea that, and I think I was under the impression that Moon Knight is another personality and Mr. Knight is another personality.
That's what I thought too.
All these in his head.
I thought
But I
Moon
do
Knight
like
was
the
separate from
simplicity
Mark
of
and
just
Steven.
Steven misunderstood suit and went suit, and also it's going to be much easier for cosplayers.
Well, I like it because, like, apparently in the comic books, Mr. Knight was not Steven in Moon Knight form. I like it because, first of all, it shows just how different these two personalities are, even though they are technically the same character. So much so that they literally made 2 different superhero suits for the same character.
Yeah.
But I think, here's the thing. I oftentimes find myself rooting for Steven because Steven as a protagonist is a perfect example of like this guy who just can't get a fucking break.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've been there where I'm like, oh shit, it's fucking Friday. I missed something. And I've been in these situations where no matter how hard I try, the world keeps punching me.
Mm.
Steven. So,
This is that to the nth degree.
well, when Steven finally gets a couple chances to be heroic in this episode, he takes them. And I like that because,
Yeah.
like, he literally says, "You would kill a kid?" No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And
I,
then
I like that he looks around to everyone else like, okay, no one else agreeing with me? Okay, never mind.
I.
No, I really like the Mr. Knight. I like the moments when he's putting on the properly thick British accent as he rolls up the sleeves. The rolled up sleeves with gloves is a great look. And I've said it before. I think I said it in Hawkeye episode 1 because of Kate turning up to the party in a suit. Anyone in a well-fitted suit,
Mm,
10 out of 10.
I mean, I I don't know why because like maybe the next couple of episodes are all going to be like about making us like Mark.
Hmm.
But my impression of Mark at the end is like, dude, I get that you're trying to help your wife, but God, you're being mean to my boy.
Yeah.
Quit being mean to Steven. Uh,
Which again is one of those things where like I'm sure if a bit of reworking and we started off by following Mark, I could very easily see us being so fed up with Steven. It's like,
oh
shut
yeah.
the fuck up and give control back to Mark. We would totally be in Khonshu's shoes with this of like, shut up and give the power back to this guy.
If it were our own heads, I think we'd hate Steven. Because Steven is just trying
But
to.
you're assuming that you would be the Mark in the relationship. I know I would be the Steven.
Here's the thing. If I was. If. Okay, so Kneale me. Let's say I had Steven in my head. Just, I had it. Anytime Steven took control and I wake up, I feel like I'd be in a better place in life, and then I'd be like resentful of it because I didn't get there myself. I feel like Steven is just
That
trying to
that
get the
oh, that'd be
world.
a really fun dynamic for a character with a split personality. Make a note of that.
I finally finished this birdhouse. Now to give it back to my personality. I was gonna do this fucking birdhouse, Steven, you piece of shit.
It's when your brother builds the Lego set before you do.
Uh, Perfect example.
Yeah, and I have been both of those brothers in that dynamic. Uh,
I There was a lot of good stuff this episode.
mm,
I think it was very fitting that it literally waked up with him like thinking it was all a dream and maybe it was. Ooh.
yeah, I'd be curious if that's how we start every episode. Because episode 1 had the cold open with Harrow, but then it starts with Stephen waking up. Then this
Yeah.
episode starts with Stephen waking up. I'm curious if that's going to be our sort of through line. Because, last episode ended with Moon Knight in the bathroom. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? He just bet up this jackal. Stephen wakes up.
Mm.
This episode ends with we're in Egypt now. Even if it's even if we're still in Egypt, I think having it again, Stephen wakes up. I'd like that to be our constant,
Mm.
but equally you can make the argument about, well, that's how we're starting, and now we're gonna take off in this direction now that the
I,
story's beginning.
I think Mark has to work on communication. Because
Mm,
literally the whole reason Steven is like, I don't trust this guy in my head is because he starts hearing all these bad things about Mark that start characterizing this guy to him.
yes.
When in reality, if he just like sat down and had like a 2 hour long conversation with him, he'd probably know what's up.
Yeah.
I would like to know what's up. So I feel like Steven should. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Mm. But we wake up. Jackal doesn't show up on the footage, which again, for the week to week watching of, oh, so was that all in his head then?
Mm.
but then it's still Mark that comes out on the camera and sort of stares at him. Stephen's fired. We go to the storage unit, and there's the guns and the money and the passport. And I like the detail that the passport, what do you call it? I forget the date that's on it, but that date is during the blip.
Mm.
So again, it's one of those things that I think we need for any new character introduced. I think we need to know whether they were snapped away or not. So this is nope. Mark Spector was around during that 5 years.
My only problem is the fact that they're doing it so subtly. Like,
Hmm.
I believe Shang-Chi was another character where it was like, if you look at the time frame of when the character left and their current age, it had to be a situation if he didn't get blipped.
Yes,
But,
and then
like,
also was it Old Town Road? That song was released in whatever year, which means that Little Nas wasn't snapped away. No, was wait, no, wasn't. He wasn't.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, I like that they're doing it because I want to track it. The only problem is, I feel like if they keep doing it so subtly, like through like, a number on a passport or
Hmm.
stuff that we don't really focus on, it feels like eventually they may be compelled to retcon. Like originally
Uh,
and in the novelization of Avengers Endgame, Wong was snapped. Like Wong disappeared in the snap, but confirmed in No Way
Spider-Man.
Home
Yeah.
Wong was not. So again, that's a novelization, so there wasn't actually a situation where in the movie they said he wasn't snapped.
Hmm.
But I still think we need to be careful. Like I'm just a little nervous that this is going to lead to eventual retcons and stuff.
Yeah. As the MCU keeps growing, Kevin hire one more continuity person to keep on top of that.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me the job.
But no, we're in the storage unit and everything. The passport. Steven's like, oh, I'm going to take this to the police and everything, and they're going to lock me up, and I'm not going to hurt anyone. And as he goes out, Khonshu appears and everything. What do you think there's something in that other storage unit?
Which one? Could you explain
There's
again? I
there's a
was
brief
I was
shot
yawning.
as he's so. I'll just go back and find it. So before, no, he steps out and the lights are flashing as
Mm.
Khonshu sort of comes down the hall towards him. I do love like he's there, but the lights keep moving as he disappears and then reappears. Mark is running and sorry, Steven is running and screaming, and we get a brief shot of sort of he turns to look, and the camera sort of does his POV looking as he runs past it
Mm.
of the door of another. It's not the next one over. It's maybe two down or something. Storage unit, the padlock, and the door is rattling.
Mm.
It's like it's just a one. Oh, sorry, how long's the shot? He's there. He sees Khonshu. One, two, maybe 3 seconds. A 3 second shot of just the camera on this padlock as the door is banging. It's like, wow,
You know
what,
what's
what is that?
you know what else is weird about that shot though?
Hmm.
The way it ends.
Yeah.
Like with that fucking like still frame of him screaming, and then
Yeah,
the
that felt a
cut.
little out of place,
Here's
but
the thing.
it's
Here's
a
the thing.
it's a good freeze frame.
Hold on. Go with me on this. Go with me.
Hmm.
That is a weird editing choice. Almost too weird. And you've brought up that there's another crate, there's another storage facility that could have something in it.
Hmm.
I feel like this goes to my Jake Lockley theory. I feel
Yeah.
like the transition was weird, so maybe a still frame is how Jake comes out for a second.
Oh.
Like,
Oh, I'm sending you this in the chat so you can see this. In that shot, in that freeze frame, the door behind him opens.
wait, really?
Yeah. So he's looking up at Khonshu, and Khonshu sort of turns his head so you see the beak. I'm gonna screenshot just
Wait,
before
I think
it.
I remember this. Isn't it like right as the frame's about to happen, you see the door open behind him?
Yeah, and then it suddenly opens. Huh.
That could be Khonshu fucking with him.
It could be. Oh, it's Disney Plus, so it doesn't let me take a screenshot.
Nah, it's okay. I think I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
13 minutes, 17 seconds. Yeah,
Mm.
the door behind him opens. That could just be Khonshu fucking with shit. Yeah, because there was later in the episode with Harrow and everything,
I just,
Khonshu's throwing a
I
tantrum and knocking over bins.
hold on. I just had a realization. So you know how that still frame happens, and then the next shot
Is him
is.
running out of the building?
How do we know that's the next thing that happened in the timeline?
We do not. That's
Like,
just,
I'm.
it's again, unreliable narrator. We're just seeing it from Steven's POV.
What if that still frame happens, then Jake takes over, and him and Khonshu walk in that storage facility that just now opened, and there's something in there?
Hmm?
And I'm just saying that fucking. Oh my god. Fucking. Wait. When Khonshu is chasing after Steven in the apartment,
Same
that
thing happens.
yeah, that shot ends with like
Yeah.
a jump scare by Khonshu and then a cut to Steven is somehow on the bus. Did Mark
Hmm.
take over there? What did he do?
Maybe.
How did
Because then
he
he's on the bus, and then so is Harrow. He's on that same bus.
Yeah, and surely whatever personality was in control was aware that he was there, right?
If Lockley's real, what if he like is a follower of Harrow or something?
I don't know.
I mean, literally in that case when they're on the same bus, but that's
Maybe
that might be a bit too out there. But no, some again, I feel like even now that we've got the
there's
Stephen and
something
Mark
to it.
reveal, there's still something we don't know going on, and I think having a third personality is sort of the best
I think it has something to do with Khonshu
explanation
because
for that.
literally each time before we have these scenarios where like is that Jake Lockley, Khonshu shows up and does something.
Mm.
Like Khonshu scares the shit out of him, then suddenly we're on the bus. What happened in that time frame? We don't even know what he did, but he did something that resulted in Harrow finding him and tracking him to this bus.
Or even because I think that's up in the air at the minute. Is like, was he like asked Mark following Harrow here,
Mm.
or was Harrow following him? We
I,
don't know.
I feel like I'm saying Jake until proven not Jake, especially
Mm.
because that's one of the first times we see Khonshu just on his own chilling. Like Khonshu stays at the end of the bus and just watches it go by.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think there's something going on. I think there's going to be a plot reveal here, and you and I have picked up on it a little bit. That, or we're noticing weird editing choices, and we're thinking it's plot.
Yeah. Uh,
Did you like
yeah,
Lila?
Lila. I want more Lila. I think she's okay. She's serves the function of this character at the minute. The best Lila moment that I really liked and I took note of is after Stevens had his talk with Harrow and everything, and they run upstairs and there comes sort of a dead end. She's like, "Oh, some in the suit." It's like, "What? Some in the suit?" And the back and forth, and Stevens sort of starts to break down, almost like
Mm.
falls to his knees, saying, "You can't do it." And Lila looks at him and is like, "Okay, that's fine. We'll find another way out. If you can't, calm down. That's okay. I'm not going to force you to or anything, you know?" I liked that moment.
I like that she
Other than
was
that,
kind to him.
she's fine. She's nice to him and everything. I do like that she's that skeptical.
I,
Um, and then there's the interesting parallel of, why does Stephen and her have like so much in common?
mm. Well, I'm curious if, like, here's the thing. I don't think we've seen what makes her a good candidate to be Khonshu's avatar.
Hmm.
Because for those of you who have not seen the show, which this review show is really a companion piece to the show, so you should. But if you haven't seen the show, fucking the reason Mark has made this deal with Khonshu is apparently this is the last one. And if he does it, he gets his soul back. Lila isn't going to be chosen as a candidate for Moon Knight. Essentially, he just gets everything at once.
I think no. I think my reading of it was because at the end of this episode, when Mark's like, "Oh no, we had a deal. Remember, just one more mission," and Khonshu sort of goes, "Oh, but come on, you enjoy doing this." Da, 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 da. And remember, I've always got other options. So meaning, I took that as that's a part. It's like, oh yeah, I saved your life, I raised you from the dead, or whatever. And if you stop serving me,
Mm.
like the previous guy Harrow did, I'm gonna take the person you love most in the world and force them to do it in your place. I think that's a part of the threat to keep him doing it.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. I I don't think Khonshu is in a place where he's like, yeah, I'll get this random other person. I feel like he would want somebody who is trained still and is still
Mm,
smart enough to serve his purposes. So that makes me wonder, like, if Mark Spector was a mercenary, like the show seems to be implying,
mm.
where did Lila lie in that? Because she seems clearly aware of a lot of what Mark did.
Yeah,
Mm.
she knew about the Moon Knight suit. It said in this episode that Mark was a part of a team that hit up that dig site and executed all those people.
Mm.
And Lila talks about the two of them having gone on adventures to find this scarab. So yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't know much about the comic book Mark. I don't know if he was a mercenary. I don't know if he was an archaeologist. I don't know. Um, but I do think we're due to an episode where we see how he actually met Khonshu. Maybe we see what they were exploring. And since we're back in Egypt, maybe it will be the next episode. Maybe it won't.
Yeah.
Do you think that Steven, because some of the dialogue with Lila specifically implies it wasn't, do you think that Steven was around before Khonshu and the Moon Knight thing? Or do you think he's new?
So because it is brought up in this episode again by Harrow, like, oh, do you think did your mind break because of Khonshu, or did Khonshu pick you because your mind was already broken?
Mm-hmm.
I think, and again, it might just be because and I hadn't thought of any of the Lockley stuff until we started talking about it just now. I do think Stephen is new,
Mm-hmm.
and again, with my minimal to absolutely no knowledge of how multiple personalities and everything form, that it, to a certain extent, sort of like a coping mechanism or something. That it's often the
Mm-hmm.
personality has entirely different traits to another one. That Stephen sort Stephen is almost you saw Free Guy, right?
Yeah.
The Stephen is is what Mark perhaps wants to be. That he's sort of he's Guy. He's the love letter to
Mm-hmm.
Lila. That is someone else who has all these same interests and loves all and understands these languages and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and is perhaps a bit more uh, not as confident as Mark, but perhaps a bit more of a hopeless romantic. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I think Stephen is new, but perhaps Jake was already there or something. But I
Mm-hmm.
get that's entirely reliant on Jake even being real in this show. Which
I mean,
I think that's my prediction. That's my guess.
I have. Mm,
Or equally,
well,
because
yeah,
I think the comics sort of flip flop on it.
yeah.
Or so I've heard, that they keep it ambiguous as to whether this is a result of Khonshu's influence, the split personalities, or if it was prior
Well,
to it.
if dissociative identity disorder was the only thing at play here, like if that wasn't a real life thing, I
Mm.
would have a theory, but I don't think Marvel is going to do that. this because they have said before this is DID.
Yeah,
So I think that they want to represent that well and not make people like feel uncomfortable by the representation.
yeah,
But
with still
mm,
Egyptian moon god
oh, of
magic sprinkled
course.
in there. But
So here's kind of a theory I would have had if that isn't what they were trying to do.
mm,
We're dealing with a lot of multiple realities here in a minute.
mm.
I would have probably thought that Mark is like two different beings with the same body. Like imagine like Stephen Grant was like the Mark Spector of this world. Like
Yeah, that it's two
yeah.
variants sort of squished together.
Yeah, that's probably something I would have
Huh.
pitched had I not known they were like, if this wasn't real and they didn't have like real life representation to worry about. That is probably an idea I could see them going with, especially to make him more important with the current arc that's going on.
Mm.
But judging it by how it's presented, judging it by what we've seen, I would say that the fact that Steven doesn't know who Mark is significant. So I'm going to deposit two theories. Number one,
Okay.
this is all completely new, because that's why Lila didn't know. This is all completely new, and it has nothing to do with Khonshu. Maybe Khonshu put him in the situation where he was developing this, like maybe Khonshu caused the stress, but
Mm.
maybe it really is just a mental thing that is happening with Mark Spector. Or alternatively, I think maybe Mark got amnesia as well, and all the personalities kind of forgot about each other.
Okay. That they all started with a blank slate.
There's
Hmm.
just so many questions I don't understand. And unless there is some sort of event that did give some of the personalities blank slates, why doesn't Steven know Lila? You know?
Hmm. Interesting.
I
I
don't
think
know.
as long as they don't go a Spider-Man Ben Riley, oh no, Peter Parker was the clone all along, and Ben Riley was the original. Oh fuck, people hated that reveal. Never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's interesting that they started with Stephen Grant instead of Mark Spector because
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic choice.
fucking honestly, I kind of like Stephen more than Mark. Maybe that's just because we've
Yeah.
seen him more, and I loved him as Mister Knight so much.
Oh yeah. He's just a fancy drunk.
She said I needed a suit.
Yeah,
Actually, like
Khonshu's
it.
ceremonial.
He's holding the two like friggin' weapons, and he's just like, kind of cool, actually.
Yeah,
He
it's
never
really
uses
fun.
them. Jesus Christ, I love Steven.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, I think yeah. So far, I feel pretty confident saying Stephen Grant's my favorite new character introduced in Phase Four. I think.
um, they
I mean,
introduced
Kang is a lot of
Kate.
fun, but we only had one. Well, He Who Remains. We had that one variant of Kang so far. Mobius was good for as much of Loki he was there for.
Jack, how dare you shit talk Lucky the pizza dog like this?
I, I think it's just Pizza Dog at the minute. I don't think.
He got the name Lucky at the very end. They really shoehorned it in. Hawkeye's got a lot of problems. I love it, but it's not perfect.
Yeah. Oh.
Uh,
But no. So Stephen gets kidnapped by either police who work for Harrow or Harrow's people pretending to be police. Either way around, I don't think it massively matters. Um, or we get the confirmation of, oh no, Mark's like a mercenary who has killed people before and everything. And then we get Harrow's sort of tour of his commune, for lack of a better term.
I I kind of like that they showed that to everybody in this commune, Harrow is not really a villain.
No.
Like he walked up, he played soccer, he was smiling, he was like talking to people in languages they spoke. Uh, I I don't know, man. Maybe it's because he's such a creep, and maybe it's because he's so smart. I don't trust him at all, but part of me wants to, you know?
Yeah,
Like, like
he's
maybe,
got that. He's got that charisma. He's got that cult leader vibe.
yeah, maybe it's just because it's Ethan Hawke, and the guy knows how to like word a sentence. But
Mm.
whenever he's like, "Look at all these people. Look, we're sharing soup. We're having a good time. We don't want people to get hurt. So yeah, we'll kill kids." It's right there where I start to go
Mm.
like, "Oh, maybe not actually."
Yeah, but see, I mean, fundamentally, and we touched on it in Winter Soldier. Punishment after the crime, innocent until proven guilty, all that.
Mm,
But it's like, yeah, well, I mean, avoiding the time paradoxes. Yes, I'd kill baby Hitler.
yeah, I mean, didn't he? Did he bring up Hitler in episode one? Everybody brings up Hitler when they do the debate of like, "Would you stop this if you could?"
Again, I love Rhodey Don Cheadle's moment of just, I go make a baby Thanos and just. What the? First
and
off, that's horrifying.
and how stone cold he was about it too.
This guy's military Colonel James Rhodes. He's seen some shit.
You also can't blame him.
Huh?
Like, can you say you wouldn't?
Come on, it's Thanos.
Uh,
But no, I like that, and it is fundamentally I disagree, of course,
mm,
but it is an interesting thought experiment
yeah.
at minimum.
It is interesting that this is the first time that Steven gets to speak up and properly
Mm,
like be like, because this guy, like, Steven knows this dude can kill him. Steven's got to
yeah.
know that. But like he's looking at it, he's hearing what this guy is selling, and he's like, well, hold on, what about this? And he's like poking all the holes in it. And you can clearly see that Harrow does not want to answer these questions. I
Mm.
do, and sometimes he doesn't. Like, I think the most he says about would you kill a kid is sometimes part
You
of
have
the
to amputate
disease.
a rotten limb or
Mm.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think he says something like sometimes the disease is the cure or something like that, like a piece of the
Mhm.
disease.
Call the masses.
Because if you really translate it, you're killing a bunch of people, and the way you're justifying killing those people is because they might be bad people. But isn't the fact that
Yeah.
you're killing these people make you a bad person? Even if they
Mm.
didn't do anything?
Well, perhaps because we haven't touched on it yet. Why he walks with the broken glass? Perhaps that's his
Mm.
way of atonement. Is the pain with every step or something. Every step of his journey towards this greater goal.
I do want that explained. Because it
Yeah.
has not been explained.
Otherwise, it's just a weird masochistic character quirk.
Maybe
Here we
it's
go.
just.
What about a child? We should kill a child that might do something in 30 years. He says, I'm glad you said that. Sometimes the cure is a little taste of the disease. Yeah. The difference between
Mm.
medicine and poison is sometimes only dosage.
I
Consider
mean,
a
that's
diseased
true.
limb. Amputation, horrific and grotesque, is necessary for the larger health. And Stephen is rightfully like, yeah, but it's not a hand, it's a child. Ugh,
Yeah.
bit of a false equivalency. But again, yeah, Ethan Hawke's been great in this role
I
so
think
far.
I think the reason we're like, man, Haro is making a good case is not actually that Haro is making a good case. It's actually just Ethan Hawke is smart.
Yeah.
Uh, like, God, the guy scares the shit out of me though. Like, I love this villain so much because he makes me uncomfortable. With every step he takes, I feel just icky, and I don't like it. And fucking, I do wonder what his powers are though, because so far we've only seen him summon jackals.
Yeah, he's able to use a fraction of Amit's power
Mm.
to weigh people's
Yeah.
souls and then drain them or kill them somehow, and also use a fraction of Emmett's power to summon jackals. Because he was the previous avatar for Khonshu,
Mm.
I assume he had his own Moon Knight suit or everything. It might just be the same as Mark's if it's still sort of ceremonial stuff, or if he has a slight variation upon it. That'd be a cool design to see. Perhaps that's the comic book outfit. That's how you get that cameo in there. Is he have that'd be what his one looked like. Um,
What do you think happened with them?
I don't know. I think we're gonna have to find out.
Because on one hand, I was like, oh, clearly Harrow betrayed Khonshu for Ahmed. But then I was
Hmm.
thinking in my head, now you know what? It's probably much more likely that Khonshu ditched Harrow and then, kind of in a moment of weakness, Ahmed was like, "Hey, man, look, you can hang out with me and get your powers back."
Yeah. Well, that is a point. I'm unclear as to how much influence Amit has because they keep saying that Amit's dead. And now we're going to Amit's tomb. We're going to go resurrect. We're going to go unleash Amit.
If we are following the same rules as Khonshu,
Hmm.
Ahmed is probably able to speak to Harrow.
Well, we don't. He doesn't even say that he's Amit's avatar. That's never said.
Oh, does he not?
He says that he was Khonshu's previous one, hence why he's predicting like, he's probably telling you to kill me right now. He's like, he's probably saying, I am vengeance or
Yeah.
whatever. I am justice.
I do
He,
love the
he
line of, what is he saying? Did he tell you to kill me?
crushed his windpipe. Yeah, all those moments are great. And then Stephen being like, "Can you hear him?" Oh, no, 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 no. But no, he says that he was a previous or the previous. He was before Mark at least.
Mm.
Avatar of Khonshu,
Well, he mentions that the
and
staff was owned by the
the
previous.
staff was owned by Amit's first um
Mm,
avatar,
yeah,
which could be Kang, could
who's
be
not going to
Ramathut, But no, I don't think Harrow is at the moment actively
know.
an avatar connected with a god, which I think might be a bit of his motivation here. Is perhaps he was
Mm.
abandoned, ditched by Khonshu,
Wait,
and then he was sort of stranded, no purpose in life.
I
Looked
think
for okay, I know all this is real. I need a new Egyptian god to to sort
I
of worship,
I
follow,
think he has to be
be
though
with.
because he has the draining power and he has the scale. He
Yeah,
clearly has powers, so I don't know. I,
I don't know either.
it would just
But
be
then, again, it's a bit hard to avoid at the minute. Sort of people are like, oh well, after each episode comes out, here's all your comic book references and everything. The Arthur Harrow is a comic character from like
yeah.
a single story years ago who never showed up in anything since.
Now,
And he was just some sort of like sorcerer character, I think.
in that same episode, in that same interview where they mentioned the reason why they didn't do Bushman
Hmm.
is God, his name is stupid, but the reason they didn't do. They brought up that they couldn't think of a villain, so they kind of made their own with Harrow. So Harrow,
Okay.
for the most part, it's like new
In
guy.
name only,
Yeah.
sort of. Okay.
Well, he's kind of not in name only because in his only appearance, he was just some sorcerer with magic powers, and clearly he has the magic powers.
Yeah.
They adapted everything they needed to for this to be accurate.
Hmm. Dead on. Perfect.
Mm.
Um. Yeah. No. That we talked about and everything was great, and then he summons a jackal. We get another action scene, the chase again.
We get another action scene. The action's invisible this time,
Yeah, yeah.
which
Which I
is
mean, in Doctor Who is a way to save on the budget, but here it's now we're CG flinging characters around and
they literally had to CG fake water
yeah.
onto this fake CG invisible render.
Uh, The jackal. No one else can. So no one else can see it except Mark so far.
Well,
I feel like if we, I wonder if that's a Khonshu thing, if that's a only the person it's sent after, or if that's a all the avatars can see it
yeah.
sort of thing.
I
I'd be
think it's an
curious.
Avatar thing right now.
Yeah, if it's an avatar thing, then I think that's the confirmation we need with Harrow.
Mm,
Is if there's an instance where he actively sees like he summons one
yeah.
and like it turns back to look at him and he makes eye contact or something, just a moment of confirmation that he can also see them.
I think we also need confirmation that the other people with the scales on their arms cannot see it.
Yes,
Because
and also
maybe.
they can't like judge and do all this stuff. That it's just like I think Harrow has the
Mm,
magical tattoo and everyone else just has a tattoo.
yeah, that's fair.
I think.
I mean, who knows? There's got. It is kind of gnarly to imagine this guy in a cult being like, all right, here is Maurice, the tattoo guy. You you passed Ahmed's inspection. That's really good. Now just extend your wrist, and we're gonna make sure we have this theme going. So if you're going to be here, you need to have a little scale made of two crocodiles right here.
We have an aesthetic.
Yeah, if you want this to look, it's either this or I drain your life, or you get eaten by the dogs coming out of my cave. It's one of the two. This is a little silly. You're silly.
Yeah, I think
I have glass in
I,
my shoes.
but okay, you're writing the how it should have ended Harrow character now. This is
He's just nuts and old.
oh tattoo got yeah. So this is the I really liked the Flag Smashers initially because I'm like, oh, it's this massive group, it's this big organization and everything
It's
united
like
under this
10
common belief,
people.
and not much came of that. And I was like, oh, it's this massive group of people united under this one religious belief, and it's Harrow is enough of it. Carly
Mm,
was fine, and Carly wasn't really a villain. Harrow is you're villainous. I'm
mm.
gonna kill babies. Bad guy. So
He-
I'm. This is a better version of that, as far as I'm concerned.
when I look back at Falcon and Winter Soldier, I realize just how much of that show was set up for the future.
Yeah.
Like,
Which I mean, on the one hand, good. Do that as a TV show and take
oh,
your
I'm not
time rather than
complaining.
trying to cram it into a movie.
Mm. Well, like, literally the whole show is setting up Falcon to be Captain America. It's setting up. I'm just going to say my theory because I think it's confirmed until not confirmed. It's setting up Sharon to have some sort of position of power because she's totally not a Skrull. Uh, it's setting up U.S. Agent. It's setting up Valerie. It's setting up all of these different things that I feel like are for later to the point where, like, that kind of held the show back a little bit, just how much it needed to set up. I still think the show worked and I really liked it. But with this show, they definitely seem focused on selling you the idea of this character. Like, it's establishing so much. Like, you gotta realize before the show came out, we didn't even realize, like, other gods in the MCU were a thing. Like, if you think about it that way. Like,
Yeah.
fucking. We
We
know.
had the Norse,
Mm,
and then we had the Eternals, who have been interpreted and told stories of as gods. That's been about it.
but now we know like there are different rules for each pantheon, and now we're dealing with the
Mm.
Egyptian pantheon, and
It's one of those. I mean, I really the Thor and everything of like well, they're actually aliens who just live for a really long time and have this
mm,
advanced technology come to Earth and are mistaken for gods. We then got Doctor Strange and its actual legitimate magic.
mm.
Where on that scale does Khonshu and these Egyptian gods fall? I'm curious.
I I have no idea, and I
Mm.
feel like there's gonna be an explanation about that. Like I feel like when we start talking more about like the Inuit thing or whatever the team was called. What was the name of the team? The
Uh,
Inurat?
Ennead.
Anurad. I thought it was Inuit or something. Uh, but fucking Uh, there's. It feels like maybe if they become more important to the story, we
Hmm.
can hear about this, and we know we're going to the temples at some
Yeah.
point because of the trailer. So that means we're gonna have a scene where we either talk to these gods or acknowledge these gods. Maybe we can learn something. Zeus is supposed to be in Thor: Love and Thunder, played by Russell Crowe. So
Oh wow.
I think we're gonna see some more gods.
Oh. Oh, I've just
Hmm?
had a thought.
What's your thought? Give me your thought.
Because yeah, Love and Thunder's coming up. The main villain of that is Gore the God Butcher, and we're
Hmm?
missing two Egyptian gods.
On a poster, though. I'm with you, but it's the poster.
On a poster that no one else at the museum has noticed.
Yeah, but it's kind of
Except for
hard.
this one guy who's like literally the spiritual embodiment of one of them.
I'm just saying, it's a little weird to think that Gore the God Butcher kills these two gods and then informs the rest of the world, yeah, these guys are dead, don't put them on posters anymore, and then leaves.
Well, it can be the sort of thing of like with sort of Hela or whatever. It's like yeah, we sort of moved on from that, or
Mm.
that was such a long time ago. That's before they even started being worshipped. Well, no, because then Mark wouldn't know about them. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. We've got two gods are MIA at the moment, and there's a guy going around killing gods. Just saying.
And I don't know, man. Maybe Gore the God Butcher is referenced.
Hmm.
I Here's the thing. I'm not gonna. Does Neil want to say this? There's an origin story about Gore's sword, which is a
Hmm.
thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of these Marvel shows is about explaining that sword. That way it makes more sense. I'm not going to explain the sword, because if Marvel does it, it's going to be the biggest what the fuck ever. But essentially, I could see maybe they changed it and that sword is a weapon from another god or something. It's called All Black, I believe.
Hmm.
And I was confusing it for the Ebony Blade, which is what.
Jon Snow,
Yeah,
yes.
I was trying to think of his character's name, but I was about to say Kit Harington.
Yeah, Kit Harington. Forgetting there's a W, I think, in the surname.
He has a name. He becomes the Black Knight.
Yeah.
Keith. Wait.
Kit Harington. Yeah.
Dane. His name is Dane something.
Dane Whitman. There we
There
are.
we are. We figured it out.
Are you ready for that, Mr. Whitman?
Keith Whitman. There he is.
Dane Whitman.
But moving on, because we did get
Yeah.
sidetracked again. This show leads us down paths, though. I'm afraid to tell you, chat, but I think we're both very excited for Multiverse of Madness. Especially because Benedict Cumberbatch referred to No Way Home as the appetizer before the meal. And I was like, you motherfucker!
I'm like, dude, stop talking. You better not be overhyping this.
I, he probably has a little bit, but I don't care. I'm going to judge it the same way I judge everything.
Um,
Can't wait to
but then
review that one,
Steven
though.
is thrown out the window and manages to summon the suit, and it's Mr. Knight, and we sort of given our thoughts on that outfit and everything at the minute. Anything else you want to say on Mr. Knight at the moment?
I hope he comes back.
Oh yeah, I hope I mean sure it'd be nice for you know them to homogenize and go with the Moon Knight suit.
Mm.
But I really like the idea of anytime Steven goes as Moon Knight, it's the Mr. Knight costume, and anytime Mark goes as Moon Knight, it's the Moon Knight costume. Just to have that, because then even during like an action scene or something,
Mm.
without necessarily having them switch back to like Moon Knight's fighting, we suddenly go back to just Steven. You can
Well,
still have Steven as Mr. Knight able to like he throws that one punch and sends the jackal flying, and still super strength and able to keep the
mm.
action going without suddenly properly stopping it.
Mark mentions that for some reason whoever's in control is like changing more frequently.
Hmm.
So something that could be revealed, and this would make an awesome action scene, is it's actually a mid that is switching Mark and Steven out with each other.
Mm.
So it would be really cool if there is a fight scene, and to help Ethan Hawke's character win, a mid starts switching the personalities mid fight.
Just
So
sort of
one,
spamming that button.
yeah, so like one punch it's by Moon Knight, but the next is by Mr. Knight, and it just keeps
Mm.
changing. That would be a dope ass action scene to me.
Mm. Well, it reminds me of, and I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh! GX guy, as opposed to the original run, but it reminds me of
Mm.
in the duel against Pegasus. And I don't know, do you watch much Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day?
I was a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Motorcycle Edition. I liked that one.
Uh, okay,
Uh,
okay,
I watched
okay.
a little bit of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! I have binged all of the freaking uh, fan dubbed Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridged, yeah.
Greetings,
Um,
protagonist.
yes, well, in the original series, in the fight against Pegasus, who can, read his opponent's mind, because it's Yugi and the Pharaoh are two
Mm,
alternate, and it's a Pharaoh as well, ancient Egypt, are different personalities. In order to try and win the game, the two personalities stop talking to each other and play
mm,
independently, not knowing what the other person's move was, so that their mind can't be read.
mm.
Like a wee sort of fight like that, where it's, we take advantage of the two of them sort of learn to work together
Yeah.
to fight, which I mean has to happen this season.
I
But have that still manifest as Mr. Knight and Moon Knight as the separate costumes, I think I'd really like.
I think them learning to like work together as a team could be like super dangerous, because like if they do switch mid personality and the other one's like, "Oh, we're fighting," and just keeps fighting, that could be really deadly with this like power set. Like this.
Yeah.
Also, in case you're wondering, chat, Moon Knight's powers in the comics, I asked someone, are increased agility and increased strength, so kind of the stereotypical Green Goblin Captain America situation.
Mm.
But an added twist to his powers is, first of all, under the moonlight, he gets a bonus. Like, he gets extra strong under the moonlight.
Mm.
But also, he can apparently fuck with gravity a little bit.
Okay.
I I I remember at one point he's able to use his moon powers to lift Thor's hammer, but he can't actually like hold it in his hands. He just lifts it with like psycho powers.
Okay. I wonder if that's a extension slash explanation of the agility and that he's lessening gravity on himself, or it's the
Mm.
moon is massive and has its own field of gravity, so do I, sort of thing. Or even then, you know, I think that's sort of where the random bullshit go meme comes from, is
Yeah.
that he's got a bit of a grab bag of powers.
He also has plenty of like gadgets and shit,
Mm.
but like I think that has been replaced with mostly magic stuff. I don't know. I think like if they were to materialize that, maybe he has the ability to use the force a little bit in certain
Mm.
areas. But I don't know. That seems to not be adapted yet. I want to talk about the scene, probably the best scene of the show so far. I want to talk about the scene after he like grabs the jackal and impales him on the fucking church thing, where Mark and Steven properly have a conversation. Jesus fucking Christ, the acting in this moment by
Mm.
Oscar Isaacs as he talks to himself. And it feels like two completely different people.
Yeah, and then it starts off again with Stephen just, is this what it's been like for you? Is having anything? Mark trying to sort of keep him calm. He's like, oh no, you can handle this, buddy. You got this. You got. And Stephen just getting more and more panicked and
Mm.
shouting, asking for his body back.
And clearly at some point he hit a nerve with Mark. Like,
Mm.
because he was like, I'll never let you out again. I'll never let you see the world again. I will keep you away from people to protect them. And at some point, that struck a curve because Mark starts like punching the shit out of the glass.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see like what the last line was before he started smashing it.
I was protecting her. You know what you're doing. Yes, you did. I saw. He wants her to be my replacement. Never knew that was going to happen. You're a liar. I don't believe you. You hurt people.
Mm,
Shut up. Just shut up. I'll never forget. The fucking pause and play button are over top of the subtitles, so it's difficult to read. Full screen. What we got? Shut up. I won't let you hurt anyone again. Shut up. Never give you a moment of peace. I promise. Just that I'll never give you a moment of peace. Just that
it's
I think it keeps ramping up.
mm,
Mark's getting it's not just one thing that's said, but it's yeah.
I don't know. It is interesting that one of the last things is you won't have a moment of peace. Maybe
Mm,
that's him being like, even if Khonshu gives you up, you're still gonna
mm,
have a voice in your head trying to stop you from doing this shit.
yeah. There'll be one less voice, but you're still got another voice.
I don't know, man. I there's so much we still don't know, and I think the show is like very cleverly hiding it from us.
Mm,
I just think like legitimately Mark was in a situation that like I do think he cares about Steven,
mm,
but I think he cares much more about this situation and what's going on with Lila to the point where like Steven is just getting in his way and that's getting annoying. He's trying to like find the way to please everybody. Because he even
mm,
says after he finishes, "You'll never see me again." I don't know if that was the truth, but if that is true, that implies the reason he was trying to like break up with Lila and get a divorce with her is because he's like trying to protect her, push her out, and he's going to give the life to Steven
mm.
after they're done and just reborn. So maybe that's why he asked out the girl if it was Mark. Because he figured, hey, I'm starting a new life. I'm going to try to get this guy a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just heartbreaking to see him like lift his foot and keep stomping it down while screaming, "Shut up!" Like he's Oscar Isaacs, man. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
He came to play. He understood the assignment.
And then it's a fantastic the transition from where they are at this church to Egypt to where
Mm.
to Khonshu, where do you think? And he walks past the camera and his robe sort of drift across the frame into then this cloth hanging over the mirror, which then slides down to reveal Stephen sat there in the reflection of a broken mirror again.
Something Skylar noticed, and he wanted me to bring it up, is
Mm.
Moon Knight as a character. Something that's apparently core to the character is that he is Jewish.
Yep.
In that scene where he's shirtless, you can see a Star of David around his neck, like he's wearing a Star of David necklace.
Nice.
Yeah. And now we're in Egypt.
Oh,
Cool.
sorry, Ben Grimm. I know he's sort of Marvel's first sort of big Jewish superhero. He's been Fantastic Four, been beaten to the punch here.
I gotta be real. I don't know a ton about the Fantastic Four. I know a little. I didn't know Ben was Jewish. Maybe I did
Yeah,
at one
yeah.
point.
I know that's sort of a big thing with him. Like when he got married and everything, it was sort of I don't know if it was necessarily comics first, but I think it was Marvel's first sort of like Jewish wedding and everything. It was sort of a bit of a big deal back in the day.
I know Daredevil is Catholic, and that's always been
Yeah,
super part of the character.
yeah. I still love that. I hit the first episode and your Daredevil. I don't know where you're at in terms of the
Mm.
Netflix shows, but I really liked your Daredevil video. That's your plug. Everyone go check out Neil's season one Daredevil commentary. But I love in episode one when he's like, "Oh, Father," and he's in the confessional. It's like, "Oh yeah, forgive me,
Mm.
not for what I've done, for what I'm going to do." And the priest is just like, "Matthew, that's not how this works."
Yeah, I remember saying to my friend, once again, Skylar, I should just stop calling him my friend and just be like the guy, Skylar. Uh, he hadn't seen Daredevil, so I was talking to him about it, and I was like, in the first 10 minutes, if you're not happy, you clearly don't know who the character of Daredevil is. Because they do everything. You, like, immediately, comic book accurate origin, immediately, the religious side of the character is there, immediately, he's a lawyer. Just everything you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did we think about episode 2 of Moon Knight, Jack? Not Daredevil.
Episode 2 still going strong. I don't know if I necessarily, well, looking through it, the Harrow cult stuff was all brilliant.
Mm.
The Mr. Knight and Moon Knight fight was great. The last confrontation was great. Before that, the storage unit. The
Colonel
talk with
Sanders
Lila.
joke.
All right.
It was a good Colonel Sanders joke.
Yes. I think I put this on par with episode 1. I don't. It wasn't worse, but I don't think it was substantially better enough for me to bump it up to a 9. I give this an 8.5. Still
I,
fantastic. Going really strong. If it can nail episode 3, then this is on the way to being the most consistent MCU show so far.
I mean, with the amount of things that Loki did, and the amount of like Jesus Christ, the Thanos copters in that show, dude. How do I give it anything less than a 1200 out of 10? But I think that with Moon Knight, so far I've liked everything I've seen. I think I like episode 2 better than episode 1 because episode 2 was more of like, let's focus on this character and what's going on with this character. Whereas episode 2 was more like, no, we're still going to figure out what's going on with this character, but we need to set up the rest of the story too. God damn it.
Episode 1 was sort of here's the mystery and overall sort of framing of everything, whereas episode 2 we start getting into the characters, which is what, how you're meant to structure this sort of story.
Oh yeah, I think I just prefer it because, like, in the first episode, I left it going, wow, I really like this idea and I really like this mystery. I left this episode going, I like these characters and all of this cool shit. I can't wait to see where it goes. Like, Harrow really is a good villain so far, and as long as they don't do anything that, like, kamikazes him into, like, some dumb, like, generic, like, I'm actually just a pawn in the scheme, I think it would be okay. Like, I like him right now because he's kind of in control and seems to understand everything. I don't know if this character would work if literally it's just, and now that Ahmed's here, Ahmed kills Harrow to prove how strong Ahmed is. I think that'd be stupid.
Yeah. Or even if you were going to do that scene, I think you do that scene, I think it depends how fanatical Harrow is. You have Harrow sort of gratefully rejoicing in that moment.
Well, you know what I would do? If we're making this shit up, let's just go with it. Like, he was the original, like, in this canon, he was the original Moon Knight. He was the original, like, avatar of Khonshu. Fucking, if Ahmed rises to power, give him an evil Moon Knight suit. Like, give him, like,
the one with the black sort of base color, yeah.
Yeah, you could call him, like, I don't know.
Sun
Night.
Jester.
Night Man. I don't know.
Night Moon. Sailor Moon.
Captain Nighttime. I don't know. You don't think Marvel could come up with a better name? The Egyptian Thunder. I don't know.
Well, we have a knight. This guy's first name is Arthur. I mean,
oh, you could call him.
Play with that a little.
Well, you can't call him the Night King.
You can't call him Nightmare. You can't call him the Black Knight.
Yeah, I was thinking the Dark Knight, but you shouldn't call him that
that's
either.
taken as well.
I don't know, man. Maybe they just call him bad guy who is night themed, I guess. Crocodile
Moon
Man.
Man.
Man. I don't know,
Right.
but
Well, what are you scoring this episode?
I'm gonna give it a 9. I think it.
Alrighty.
I mean, I we talked a lot about Loki this episode, and while I do think that this could be as good as Loki, Loki was just really good at like digging deep into these characters and like knowing what the audience wants to see with them. To the point where I I don't know, I feel like that's kind of hard to match with a completely original story, which is what I want Moon Knight to be.
Yeah.
That being said, it is on its way to be one of the best Marvel shows if it can just keep up this tone. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to shit on WandaVision because there were times I loved WandaVision, but
Oh yeah.
I think arguably WandaVision or What If by default are kind of the worst, just because the other ones are so much better.
I think I disagree there. I think it's What If, and I mean, unanimously What If seems to be the
Yeah.
least popular. But I think What If and Falcon Winter Soldier I think are my bottom two there.
Oof, really. I
Yeah.
I did
Some
end
bits of
up
Falcon
liking
Winter
it
Soldier
better.
were amazing. All the Isaiah Bradley stuff I absolutely loved.
Mm.
Flag Smashers were really weak antagonists to me.
I
That sort of brought down a lot of story. And I know a lot of that is COVID related and everything and reshoots and but I have to judge it as it was, you know.
I don't know, man. I love the U.S. agent stuff.
Yeah,
That
US Agent.
that's kind of
Great.
what saves it for me with the villains. The fact that U.S. agent was so interesting.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a little bit of side Marvel opinions for you guys. But yeah, we're back with Disney Plus Pal shit every Wednesday. Uh, I hope you guys like this. I'm sure we're doing Doctor Strange, right? I feel like there's no reality where we don't review that on the internet, right?
I mean, if it's an infinite multiverse, I mean.
Don't say that. Don't be like, yeah, you know, in a different reality, sure, but no, I don't want to hang out with you. In a different reality where you're cooler, baby.
Oh,
But yeah, I
shots.
feel like there will be something on the channel for Doctor Strange at the very least. Like, I'm down to do it with Jack, but if I have to, I'll grab a cat and do it alone.
No, I'm definitely gonna watch it. And this is most likely where I'll be talking about it.
You're gonna watch it, you're gonna hate it, and then you're never gonna see it again. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be a bad movie.
Oh, can you imagine?
I have had.
There we go. If we end up doing our video of Captain Marvel versus Black Widow, which is the worst, we need to find someone who actively hates Multiverse of Madness, and then just have a three-way brawl there.
I want to find someone who hates No Way Home and do it with that.
Mm.
Because I have not heard a single. Like, obviously, there are people who are talking about, like, there's a lot of holes in No Way Home. So there's a bit to bitch about there. But everybody just keeps praising it because of like how cool the villains were and how cool all of the scenes were and just oof. I mean I love the Spider-Man shit in that movie, but just Tom Holland hanging out with Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, jeez, that's cool on its own.
Or hanging out with Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn as well, you know?
Just Tom Holland hanging out with Willem Dafoe. I could watch him go get a coffee.
Willem Dafoe, Willem Defriend, all of them, yeah.
I hate that movie. Willem Dafoe, Willem Defriend, and Willem
Uh,
Defried, and then it points to like a fucking chopstick or something, like a fish stick.
oh.
Willem Defred. It's just Fred from the internet. Poorly.
I was thinking Scooby Doo. He's
That's even funnier.
Orange Ascot.
He's in disguise. It's Willem Defraud. That's when it's just a
Oh,
cod.
there we go. Live action Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. I want
No,
Willem Dafoe as
no.
I want Willem Dafoe to be Mayor Jones.
Oh, Mayor Jones is fine, but don't make him Fred.
No, no.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what present day Freddie Prinze
well,
Jr.
gang,
looks
it
like, but I
looks
think I'd
like we
still go
have a
Freddie Prinze
mystery
Jr.
on
for
our
Fred.
hands. Avenge
Mm.
me, Scooby.
Oh, because you know, because then you can. I mean,
I hate this.
I'm not going to spoil Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, but you
Oh,
know, the
I've seen
season
it.
one finale, you can dig in some Mayor Jones stuff there. I think Willem Dafoe could really enjoy that role.
I've seen Mystery Incorporated. It's great.
Oh yeah, I was meaning more for everyone else watching who hasn't, but
I mean, I can say some random thing, and maybe it's real about the show, maybe it's not.
Hmm.
A Cthulhu
I mean,
parrot
sticking with
tries to eat
Egypt, you know,
Fred.
the
You know what?
sarcophagus.
I'll tell you three things, and some of these are real, some of them are not. Scooby is confirmed an alien. Is that real? Is it not? Giant parrot Cthulhu monster tries to take over the world. Is it real? Is it not? Shaggy's real name is George. What's real? Find out. And he was secretly a time traveler. Mystery Incorporated gets weird. I should
Oh,
review
Mystery
that.
Incorporated is fantastic.
But let us plug ourselves, Jack. Do you have anything coming up? Anything you should talk about?
Attack on Titan's over. Attack on Titan, the final season, part two is over, but part three is coming 2023. So we've finished coverage of that over on my channel.
Well,
Next,
this is when you
hmm?
begin your getting better series, where you do a video about every day you spend without Attack on Titan and your withdrawals and your need to go back.
It's okay. I definitely do not wear this prop key from the show every single day. It's fine. It's fine. No, so next sort of series that we're covering on the channel is going to be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 6, Stone Ocean, which is available for you to stream right now on Netflix. Although there's some weird adaptation stuff, like they've decided to cancel it for whatever reason. We're going to cover as much of that as there is currently exists. The Made in Abyss movie is
Mm.
getting covered soon, because I've been saying since like last September that I was going to watch that, and we still haven't gotten around to it. Um, and then I think we're going to get on my channel just back into doing sort of just more sort of media commentary and reviews and sort of short video essays.
Mm.
Because there's been a lot of movies I've seen recently that I just haven't had the chance to talk about. Like I have thoughts on Sonic 2,
Mm.
and they do seem to be slightly controversial.
I haven't
I
seen it.
recently
Yeah.
watched Lupin the Third, the First, and as someone who's only ever seen Lupin in Castle of Cagliostro, that was quite a departure. But no, a few different movies like Titan and stuff. I want to cover some more of these weird ones, and yeah, no, there'll be more anime content on my channel, of
Mm.
course, and then hopefully we're going to be branching out into some more wider media, not criticism, but commentary going forward.
Fair. I mean, I've kind of been hit with the same bug as you have, where I'm like, I just want to make more videos going forward.
Hmm.
And like, I'm currently in the process of learning how to edit my stuff a little bit better because,
Nice.
like, I've always had videos I wanted to make a certain way, but I couldn't, which is kind of why I haven't been making anything yet. Uh, but we're gonna get there eventually. I have this like I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I've always had this idea if I could like get the editing to be more competent. I've always wanted to review Bo Burnham stuff,
Mm.
like go through literally all of his main things and talk about it. Because God, that man gets me on some level that I can't even understand. But in general, I'm still working on my sketch comedy stuff, so hopefully that will be out soon. I think the scripts are very funny, if that means anything. So I don't know. Maybe if we're like, we can't fucking get any of this going, maybe we'll just read some of the scripts in a video. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully more content in the future. I'm going to try to upload my Twitch stuff to YouTube a bit more frequently. But yeah. hopefully that happens. Obviously, we're going to do Doctor Strange and future Marvel shows. May end up covering Kenobi as well. I guess we'll have to see.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we got to end on a joke. Uh, you got anything? Just take 12 hours to think of a joke and then be like, and the chicken crossed the road. Bye.
So Khonshu has got this idea, and now he's got Mark and Steven working for him. So if each of
Yeah,
them get two other people involved, would that be a pyramid scheme?
I hate you. I hate you. And I cancel everything. The channel's done. I'm deleting it tonight.
You didn't give me much prep time.
This is confirmation that you're not a voice in my head because you made this terrible pun. There is no personality or part
Okay,
of me.
go on then. Go on then.
Yeah, okay.
Better joke. Give us a
Okay,
better one to end on.
here's my better joke. Uh, uh, what do you call? Hold on. Boy, I've heard of a glass half full and a glass half empty, but I don't know what's going on with Ethan Hawke in this show.
He read Cinderella and misinterpreted glass slipper drastically.
That's a good joke. We can end on that. Later, everybody.